Fred VanVleet.
Jameer Nelson.
Fred VanVleet.
Jameer Nelson.
Fred VanVleet. Jameer Nelson.
Here comes the inbounds pass. Carter to Jameer. Jameer looks at the clock. Crosses with 9 seconds left. From the corner. Dribbles down the right side. He'll shoot the shot. It's up. It's in. Jameer Nelson. Beautiful shot from the baseline. He'll put it up and through.
On this episode of NBA Now and Then, The Greatest Comparisons, we compare two strong point guards whose impact goes beyond the box score.
When he played, he moved through defenses like water through cracks, never forcing, always flowing.
This overlooked player turns doubt into fuel, and it burns every time he steps on the court.
Turning chaos into calm with a single dribble, even the basketball trusts these two to make the right play.
We are proud to present to you Fred VanVleet and Jameer Nelson. I'm Uriah.
I'm Maurice.
I'm Lucas.
And I'm Ben.
And we're here to talk NBA
Now and Then.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to NBA Now and Then, The Greatest Comparisons. We are excited to be here. We're actually recording on Super Bowl Sunday, but the ball don't stop moving with us. So we're going to jump right into the episode. We're comparing two very similar point guards from different eras. We'll go to Ben first. Ben, why are we comparing Fred VanVleet to Jameer Nelson?
It makes sense because of their big game credibility. Jameer Nelson led St. Joe's to an undefeated regular season and an Elite Eight in 2004 while earning the National Player of the Year. If anyone remembers that St. Joe's team, they were in my college's conference at LaSalle when I was there, so they were just must-see basketball.
Special.
Yeah, really special, especially for the city of Philadelphia. And then VanVleet, he went from an undrafted to, closing the NBA Finals games, winning a championship with Toronto, All-Star. And they both kind of proved they rise when the lights are the brightest. They're not afraid of the moment.
Yep.
And VanVleet was on Wichita State. I actually randomly saw him, too, in college. He was in the Sweet 16 my college basketball team made in 2013, and I was at that game at the Staples Center. And VanVleet was a freshman.
Nice.
Yeah. Leadership over hype. My team got crushed, by the way. They weren't marketed as superstars early, but teammates trusted them. Coaches leaned on them. They were extensions of the coaching staff on the floor. Insane IQ. I think that's what I would say.
Yeah, leadership and all the stuff you mentioned. I think, Maurice, what do you want to add to this comparison?
Both really good shot makers, both pass first point guards. Both of them are really resilient. Both heady point guards, smart. You kind of get the feeling that both of them could be coaches one day. Physically tough. They can play through any defense.
Yeah, they would definitely absorb contact. They definitely have some muscle mass.
But now let's go to Lucas. Why do you think we're comparing these players?
Well, you're right. There's two things to consider here. First, they're undersized guys. Like, they were considered too small, but somehow they were able to turn that into like a strength of theirs. Right. And they were both crafty, tough, and had pretty good basketball IQs that helped them get past more physically gifted guards, right? Yeah. And then on top of that, they were elite floor generals. If you have a good basketball IQ, which I mentioned earlier, and be able to run an offense at an elite level, it doesn't matter if you're not the flashiest guard on there, right?
Exactly.
They were making high-level plays and in high-level moments to win the game versus, just showing up in the box score always.
Right. Who cares about highlights when you're just trying to win the game, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, excellent points. I just want to mention the fact that you have two guys that were probably overlooked a lot of times just because of their size. So that kind of gave them that chip on the shoulder type of mindset. I think Ben mentioned earlier, they're from mid-powerhouse teams in the NCAA. And the whole fact that VanVleet went undrafted tells you all you need to know about their desire to excel at every level. So I think we just gave a nice preview. You guys all set for this comparison?
I'm ready.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
First quarter, background.
So it's time to talk about FVV, aka Steady Freddy, But before he got those nicknames, he was born Frederick Edmund VanVleet. He was born in Rockford, Illinois. And when he was just 5 years old, guys, his life changed forever. His father was tragically killed during a drug deal. And that kind of loss doesn't just hurt, it reshapes you. So Fred has said in the past that at that moment he felt numb. And even at that young age, he made a quiet promise to himself. He said, I am not going down that road, obviously talking about the drugs and crime. So that's when his mom stepped up in a huge way. And later, so did his stepfather, Joe Danforth. Check this out, guys. So Joe was an Army vet and a police officer, and he brought military-level discipline into Fred's life. And when I say discipline, I mean real discipline. We're talking early morning workouts, weighted vests, parking garage stair runs, the kind of training that builds grit before it builds muscle. At the time, it was hard on Fred, and he was not feeling the arduous training regimen as a kid. But looking back, he does credit his stepfather for shaping who he became. Now, here's what's interesting. Fred VanVleet's biological father, his name was Fred Manning, who also played basketball in high school, according to Fred VanVleet. Any guesses how tall he was? Over, under 6'5". I'll go with Lucas.
I'm going to say over.
It would be funny if it was over.
That's why I'm going
go
for
under.
it.
You going under, Maurice?
You'll go
What
under.
about you, Ben?
I'm going over. I think they're going to be the parallel between the two.
Okay.
Or not the parallel,
Inverse.
but the opposite. Yeah.
So he was 6 feet. He was 6 feet 8 inches tall.
Dang.
Whoa.
Go figure.
How tall was his mom?
Right? I don't have that, but the fact that VanVleet is only barely 6 feet and his dad was
That's
6'8",
crazy.
I think that's interesting. No, guys, we feature players who grew up in rough environments. Derek Coleman in Detroit, AI in Newport News, Carmelo Anthony in Baltimore. But this is Rockford. This is a city where violence and temptation were part of daily life. Rockford was, get this, ranked number 3 on Forbes magazine's list of America's most miserable cities.
Wow.
The article mentioning Rockford's 11.2% unemployment rate. Fred VanVleet saw firsthand how easily people could fall into the wrong lane, but instead of following that path, he used basketball as his escape and his shield. So you guys want to hear a quick quote from
Yes.
VanVleet?
Yep.
Yeah.
In a Bleacher Report article, he stated, there were no role models. None of your friends have parents that are doctors or established businessmen. Nobody in the NBA. Nobody is a famous rapper. By the time he reached Auburn High, he wasn't just good. He was the guy, leading his team deep into the state tournament, earning all-state honors and putting Rockford back on the basketball map. Still, major colleges didn't come calling. Too small, not flashy enough. You know the story. But if there's one thing VanVleet learned as a kid, it's this. Being overlooked doesn't mean being unprepared. It just means your moment is coming. So let's go to Maurice first. What stands out to you about VanVleet growing up?
Wow, a lot of adversity.
Mhm.
A lot of adversity. We've had many stories, like you mentioned, of basketball changing people's lives for the better. At least just getting you out of a tough situation. And I know it had to be tough for him to lose his father. Did it say the exact age where he lost his father?
How old the father was?
How old
No, how
Fred?
he was.
He was? I think he was 5. Yeah, he was 5 years old.
Okay,
He wasn't even kindergarten yet, and he lost his dad.
That's a
But
tough one.
Yeah, memories though. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
tough. That's a different type of motivation
Yeah,
to succeed in life that
Yeah.
even I can't even comprehend.
yeah. Ben, what about you?
The fact that he's so short and is 6'8", and I
Yeah.
imagine his dad played basketball. So it was probably,
Yeah, he was in high school.
yeah, it was probably in the family. So I'm sure that was like a big motivation for Fred to succeed at basketball.
Yeah.
To sort of like prove to his dad who passed. I mean, I also don't know what it's like to lose a parent at 5. So I can only imagine the motivation. So
Yeah.
I actually had a friend in elementary and middle school who lost his dad even before that age. I think he was like 2 or 3 or 4 or something when his dad passed away. It's tough because like part of it is like from my understanding with him, like, you know, he lost his dad. He didn't know exactly who his dad was, but he did have some memories. It's a weird situation. And I lost my stepdad when I was in 8th grade. And obviously a stepdad is not the same as a biological dad, but me and my stepdad were pretty close. And it's a life defining moment, I would say.
Yeah. To talk about stepdads filling voids. We talked about Shaq a couple months ago and his stepdad stepping up. But I don't know if you guys know this, but another comparative factor in what we're doing here, Jameer Nelson, you guys know that he lost his dad tragically, right?
No.
Yeah, back in 2007, his dad was working on the docks, and I think it was an accident where he fell into the river. It was like a big mystery. They were like looking for Jameer Nelson's dad. So there's an example of two players who lost their dad, too soon. All right, so let's talk about VanVleet's college run at Wichita State, because this was the foundation of everything to come later. Fred did not walk in as a star. As a freshman, he was actually coming off the bench, and he still found himself playing on a team that went all the way to the Final Four. Instead of being overwhelmed, Fred looked comfortable, like he belonged on that stage. Does anyone know about his clutch basket that helped Wichita upset Gonzaga?
I think I kind of remember that run. I don't really remember him. I actually remember his teammate Ron Baker more than him, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
Ron Baker was on that team,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
It's got me.
Yeah, he was the best player.
Fred was the sidekick. It's funny. It's crazy how that worked out, because I think Ron got drafted in the second round by the Knicks and never really turned into anything major, but then Fred, I remember more of the Ron Baker of it than the Fred of it.
Okay. Well, there's a Bleacher Report article that I got some information on that. There's this one play that kind of put him on the map. So, quote, in a win over number 1 seed Gonzaga, VanVleet picked up a loose ball that he dribbled off his leg, and then he swished a three-pointer from 23 feet away. The basket gave Wichita State a 70-65 lead with 1 minute, 28 seconds remaining. Quote, and this is from his coach, Greg Marshall, he took the shot, he held his follow-through, and then looked at me and winked after it went in. I thought, he just won the game for us. He's so cool. He's so calm. He's so cool and collected. I sleep easy at night knowing I've got him at my point guard. So that's the clutch play as a freshman.
That's pretty cool.
As a freshman.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So then his sophomore year, that's when the story really takes off, guys. He becomes the starting point guard, and Wichita State goes, wait for it, 35-0 in the regular season. The team climbed all the way to number 2 in the country. By his junior year, he no longer was just a standout player. He's a leader. He leads the Shockers to another 30-win season, knocking off power programs like Indiana and Kansas in the NCAA tournament. At that point, Wichita State wasn't a Cinderella team. They were a problem. So a senior year comes, and even with a hamstring injury slowing him down early, Fred comes back and finishes strong. He leads the conference in assists again. That's 3 straight years, and becomes the all-time assist leader and steals leader in school history. Let that sink in. He didn't just play well. He rewrote the record books. You guys want to hear his stats from 4 years at Wichita?
Sure.
All right, let's do an over-under. How many points per game do you think he averaged in those 4 years? Over-under 13. Ben?
I know this, so I'm going to go last.
Okay.
I'll
Lucas?
go with Ben on that one. I'll say less.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you know the
No,
answer?
I said if Ben knows the answer and he says less, I'm going to go with Ben.
Okay, all right. You going to break the mold, Maurice? You going to follow the crowd?
I'll go with the rest of them guys.
All right, smart man. All right, it was under. It very, very modest scoring numbers. 10 points per game. 10 points a game. See why he was undrafted, right? 3 rebounds, 4.5 assists. By the time he left Wichita State, though, he had earned plenty of awards that Ben will get into. He scored over 1,400 career points, but more importantly, he helped put a national spotlight on Wichita State's mid-major program. So when people talk about VanVleet's NBA rise as overnight, just remember that success was built brick by brick. So as we all know, VanVleet did not get drafted, but I do have a little clip for you guys. Check it out.
I had a chance to get drafted, but they were talking about putting me in the D League for 2 to 3 years, slaving away for $20,000 a year, $10,000 a year. Turned those down. I bet on myself. It's been a long process. Right now, I just want to celebrate the process, man. What I've been through, the grind. 18 cities in about 30 days. So proud of myself for that. Obviously, everybody's dream is to get drafted. As a kid growing up, everybody want to get picked, but at the end of the day, man, it's about making money. Obviously, I'm disappointed, but I just want to thank everybody for coming out. Definitely going to drink a lot tonight. Enjoy this process. Again, just thank everybody for coming out. My story don't end here. It's just the beginning. It already makes sense.
Wow. Talk about inspiration. 20 grand a year to play in the G League? My goodness.
Well, they didn't used to pay that well. They've gotten better, but they didn't used to pay that well.
Gotten better. All right. So what stands out to you about VanVleet and college or anything we talked about? Let's go with Lucas.
I mean, the numbers, they're not mind-boggling. Like only 10 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Like that's not like if you know, like you might be able to get into the G League with that, but like unless he had like insane shooting percentages, I don't know what the Raptors saw in him when they signed him to the Raptor. What is it? Raptors
905.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Well, they probably saw him step up even as a freshman at Wichita. He hit that big shot and led his team to the tournament pretty much every year. So that's probably what they saw. But what about you, Ben? Anything stand out to you?
Yeah, it's got to be the way that the team played, because those numbers to get All-American, I mean, they were undefeated. It's almost like the system of Wichita State probably affected his draft stock. So like had he been on more of the way he sort of played in the NBA with the Raptors towards the end, because I don't know his other teammates on that team other than the Baker guy. But it's like no points.
Yeah, limited scoring. What about you, Maurice?
Kudos to the Raptors for looking beyond the statistics. Numbers.
And this height.
Yeah, and his height too. And seeing how good of a player he was under pressure, seeing how good he was as a teammate.
Yeah. Cannot forget the support of his family, making sure that the absence or the death of his father and the environment around him didn't impact his decision making. I do recall they were very protective of him growing up. Even in high school, he wouldn't go out to parties like most high school kids do. So he was very protected, and that stern discipline, it helped him become the man that he became. All right. You guys ready for Jameer Nelson?
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
All right. Okay, it's time to talk about Mighty Mouse. But before he got that nickname, he was born Jameer Nelson on February 9th, 1982. Before he ever lit up NBA scoreboards, his story started in Chester, Pennsylvania, a tough, gritty city just outside of Philly, where basketball wasn't just a game, it was a lifeline. His dad, Floyd Pete Nelson, was a welder on the docks of Chester. Jameer grew up in a place where opportunities were limited and pressure came early. But what stood out about him wasn't just his talent, it was his stability. He had a strong family foundation, and that mattered. In a city where a lot of kids were trying to survive, Jameer had people at home making sure that he stayed grounded. Here's the twist, guys. Basketball wasn't even his first love. As a kid, he actually preferred football and baseball. Hoops came later, but once it did, it stuck. And at Chester High School, that undersized kid, barely 6 feet tall, started turning heads. Trivia, Lucas. Speak of the devil. What stands out the most when it comes to his high school years at Chester? Was it he earned a 4.0 GPA? Was it B, he was successfully recruited before his senior year? Or was it C, he built a car engine for an auto shop class project? I'll go with Ben first. Which one do you think really happened?
I'll still go auto. Chester's kind of blue collar. I'm going to go auto.
All right, Maurice.
I'm actually going to go auto as well. That sounds pretty cool.
Okay. And Lucas.
Well, we know the guy's, GM for the Sixers, one of those assistant GMs. So I'm going to say the GPA, actually.
All right. Damn, all of you.
Ooh,
Horrible. Step your game up, guys. So the answer was B. He committed to St. Joe's before his senior year. And I'm sure you guys as Philly guys know this. He was actually recruited hard by John Chaney. I think Temple really wanted to get their hands on him, but he went with St. Joe's. So I have some stats. Compliments from, get ready for this, Lucas was there for this interview, Aaron Bracey. I was messaging him on LinkedIn because I could not find high school stats for Jameer Nelson anywhere. So I messaged Aaron Bracey, who is the author of the book Soaring Season, about that special season with Jameer Nelson 03-04. So thank you, Aaron, for giving me these stats. He said from the 2003-2004 St. Joe's Media Guide about Jameer in high school, he earned first-team All-State accolades after averaging 21 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. Not too shabby,
Not too shabby.
No. But listen, Jameer's path was not smooth. Academically, he struggled. That's when a mentor named Earl Pearsall stepped in and helped him lock in, not just on the court, but in the classroom too. So that discipline, the structure, became a turning point. By his senior year, Jameer wasn't just playing, he was leading. True or false? Jameer Nelson won a state championship at Chester. Ben?
True.
Maurice?
True.
And Lucas?
True.
You vindicated yourselves. Good job. I'll pat you on
I'm
the
just
back.
going to go
Good
with the
job.
Philly guys. I didn't know. I just went with them. If you asked me first,
Okay.
I wouldn't have known.
So he did carry Chester to a state championship, delivering in the biggest moments and cutting down nets in front of his hometown. And in a city starving for hope, he became a symbol of what was possible. You guys want to hear a quick quote from Jameer about where he grew up?
Yeah.
He says, quote, Chester basketball carries a positive message that not everything in Chester is bad. It's a city that has serious economic and drug problems. I don't know if there was a kid on my team who didn't know a drug dealer or who had a relative who was in prison or just getting out of prison. So when you look at Jameer Nelson's career, you don't just see NBA assists or clutch shots. You see the kid from Chester who stayed steady in chaos, who grew into a leader under pressure, and who used basketball as a bridge to something bigger. Lucas, what stands out to you about Jameer in high school before getting to St. Joe's?
Maybe the fact that he got recruited before his senior year. I mean, he's not like a big guy. He's what, like 6'2"? And he's more built like a football.
Not even.
He's built more like a football player than a basketball player. So that's kind of like, and both of these guys are. They're built like NFL linebackers. So I guess that was the part that kind of surprised me about him, is that he got committed to college before his senior year.
Yeah. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, kind of winning at every level is kind of what stands out. I do vaguely remember that Chester team. Chester basketball was just really good, and they're in the PIAA, so they're not a city school. I think the city schools now can compete state championships, but back then there was kind of it was Catholic League, city. Yeah, really competitive to get through the state round. So winning a championship, Kobe Bryant did it too. Is really really hard. There's a lot of rounds. Got to get through District 1. District 1 is the most difficult, the Philly area one. So I think the Philadelphia area, Pennsylvania, is one of the best basketball programs.
Yeah.
That stands out to me. I don't know why.
Yeah. And I remember researching, and he said, Jameer Nelson said that I think in his best season that I think they lost, I don't know if it was the year before they won the championship or not, but they lost to Coatesville in I guess some type of high school tournament, and that he lamented that even though he played well. But I'll go to Maurice next. What stands out?
Yeah, a lot of what Ben said as well. Listen, when you win a state championship here in Pennsylvania, that's really good. That's really impressive. The winning attitude and the winning presence that both of these guys brung, even at a high school level, is really impressive. Like, they just won. I don't know. That's something you can't really equate to measurables or stats.
Yeah.
No, it's just something that you just have.
Yeah.
Both of them have.
And it's even raised even higher when you have a point guard who's barely 6 feet tall. And remember, Chester, just like Rockford for VanVleet, very dangerous areas. So to stay out of trouble and to stay the course, and like Lucas mentioned, making a commitment before you even start senior year, that is remarkable. As a really interesting detail about his life. So, all right, let's talk about Jameer Nelson at St. Joe's, because this wasn't just a great college career. This was a moment in basketball college history. Picture this, guys. It's early 2000s, Atlantic 10 basketball. Jameer Nelson walks into St. Joe's as a Chester kid with a chip on his shoulder and something to prove. Not the biggest guard, not the flashiest recruit. There was a hiccup during his freshman year when he was kicked out of practice by Coach Phil Martelli. Has anybody heard this story?
No.
So from a 2015 article published by the Denver Post, it said, quote, "The only time Phil Martelli ever kicked Jameer Nelson out of practice, he secretly prayed hard that the calculated move wouldn't cost him the best recruit in St. Joe's history. Martelli said, quote, I told him to go home, not just his dorm room, but home. Then came 2 of the longest hours in Martelli's coaching life. Nelson, then a freshman, did not go to class. So the coach had to make certain that Nelson and the team knew that there was still order, and none of that changed because the player walked in with star status. Martelli checked his phone immediately after practice. Quote, he called me 3 times, Martelli said, apologetic and telling me that it would never happen again. By his sophomore year, he was already the engine. Cool, calm, controlled, and fearless. He's knocking down big shots, locking up on defense, and leading like a veteran. And then 2003, 2004 happens. That season, legendary. Jameer Nelson becomes the best player in the entire country. No exaggeration. He leads St. Joe's to an undefeated regular season, 27-0, and a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Over under. How many points per game did Jameer average at St. Joe's? Over under 18 points per game.
Over.
Oh, gosh. I'll say over as well. He was a high draft pick.
Under, because he had to share the Delonte West.
Ooh, I like that logic, Ben. You are correct. Yeah. I would think, too, National Player of the Year, you'd probably get more than that. Yeah. But he scored 16.8 points per game. He also averaged 5.7 assists and 4.6 boards. I do think his best season, though, guys, he did average 20 points per game. I think that was his Player of the Year stats. Over under 3-point percentage. Over under 34%. Let's go with Ben first.
I'm gonna go under, actually, like just under.
I don't think he started out as a good 3-point shooter, but he became one as his career went on. So I'm going to say under as well.
I'll be different to say over.
Pays to be different. Good job, Maurice. So he shot 36.5%.
Nice.
Okay.
Not bad.
That's actually pretty good.
Not bad.
Probably a low volume, but still nice.
So the most impressive thing about Jameer's college career, at a school that doesn't usually get national spotlight, Jameer turned St. Joe's into must-watch TV. When he left, he wasn't just St. Joe's all-time leading scorer. He was the standard, the blueprint, the reason that Hawk Hill still believes a guard can carry a program all the way to the top. Jameer Nelson didn't just play at St. Joe's, he defined it while he wore the crimson and gray. All right, so we know that Jameer Nelson was drafted in the first round by the Denver Nuggets.
Well, I couldn't believe, I didn't believe that Denver drafted me because they sent me a psychological test and I never sent it back. So once, I swear, so my agent was like, well, we know Denver's not going to take you, to send that test back. I was like, I'm going to slip a little more in the draft. And then to me, I was like surprised to hear my name. You know what I'm saying? People like, oh, were you like happy or, oh, finally. I was like really surprised that I didn't think I would get drafted to them. But then once I knew I got traded, I knew I had an opportunity to be in an organization, one, great weather.
Yeah.
Two, I knew somewhat about the DeVos and the DeVos family and what they were about. But three, it was an organization that traded for me. So to me, that meant that they wanted me and not necessarily saying we're just going to take this guy just because he's there. I was told that if I would have if they could have made the trade at 6, they would have got me at 6. If they would have got me at 5, they would have got me at 5. But, fortunately for myself and the organization, I slipped down a little further because it cost them less money.
All right. I'm going to go to Maurice first. Jameer Nelson, St. Joe's. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I remember this is the time where I started to get really into basketball, college basketball. And I remember he was at that time, he was still like the prototypical point guard. They weren't, at that point, they weren't like the 6'6" point guards yet. So Jameer Nelson was kind of like a cult legend here, at least in the Philly area.
Yep.
And it's crazy because he went to Denver, and I just remember I don't know if that's the right fit for him. And then he got traded right to Orlando. And Dwight Howard was just a perfect pairing for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The ideal teammate, as we will talk about later on in the teammate section.
Yeah. Later on.
Later on.
I like how you mentioned cult legend. That's a good way to put it, because he was hot during that time. I remember he made the cover of Sports Illustrated, just seeing him stand in the center. I know you guys remember that cover. But Ben, this is your era too, man. You're a Philly guy. What do you recall about Jameer?
I was an Atlantic 10 athlete at this time. So I was in my freshman year at LaSalle, and LaSalle's a basketball school, former college player of the year, and we're in the Atlantic 10. Atlantic 10 is a decent conference. They usually get about 4 teams to make the tournament. And to have the number 1 ranked team, so we played St. Joe's, I want to say at least 3 times that year. And Probably. We would go to their tournament. We would play at our school. And when I tell you, in my 4 years at LaSalle, we never had anything like that, where the crowd was just locked in. Like I said, it felt like what you see on TV, like that Duke UNC game yesterday. It felt like that, like they would rush the floor. It just felt like that. So it was really cool to be kind of a smaller market team. And you could just tell, they had 3 NBA players, 3 first round picks on that team that year. And you could just tell there was just a level of talent.
Yeah.
So you would hope your team had a shot, but they were blowing everyone out.
Yeah.
And so I would just say the fandom around Jameer, around the team, it was really cool. I think it's really cool to have, I don't think it's ever been done where a smaller market team had the best player in the country and the best team.
Yeah. That rarely happens. Rarely happens. I think Hank Gathers at Loyola Marymount kind of had that. And then unfortunately he passed away, but just the buzz around that, being around that was really cool. I didn't go to St. Joe's, but LaSalle and St. Joe's are same conference. They're down the street from each other, Philly area. So though we don't like each other, we do at that level, we all kind of supported St. Joe's. Cool. Lucas, you were trading, was it Pokemon cards
Yu-Gi-Oh
at the time?
Cards.
But
let's get it right.
Any of these stand out about those college numbers?
I'm going to shift more towards the draft here because think about it.
Okay.
It could have been a core of Jameer Nelson and Carmelo Anthony, and they traded it away for basically pennies on the dollar. Because Hodges, I don't think turned into anything really. So, I feel
Jameer
like
Mello. What if?
I feel like Denver fumbled the bag on that one. I don't know who their point guard was, but I guess it was Andre Miller, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Andre Miller.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so I'm done my segment. Lucas is here with the stats. You ready for the pass?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Second quarter. Statistics.
Dylan Brooks, the offensive rebound, kept alive by Şengün. VanVleet open in the corner. That's good. VanVleet has been. Curry guarding VanVleet. Şengün gets it inside. Couple of fakes. Bank shot is good. Alperen Şengün. McKimski tracing VanVleet. Adams goes inside. Ball is kind of coming out of his hand. This will be up with a shot and still got it to go.
Now he walks right in the first time he touches it. There are no wasted minutes in the NBA.
Oh, no, and Steve Kerr is laughing. He's like, okay, I guess you're feeling it, young fella.
Oh, VanVleet feeling it as well. Moody again, pressure. Help from post. VanVleet gets away from the pressure. Jabari Smith off the bounce. Pull up, two-point jumper's good.
And I like
quite the answer here from the Warriors after the Rockets threw a punch.
Yeah, this zone has flummoxed Houston in this last couple minutes.
Nice feet inside, VanVleet.
So those are the highlights. Here are the numbers, guys. VanVleet stands at 6 feet and weighs 197 pounds. I honestly am surprised about that one. He looks like he could be a little bit stockier than that. He is 31 years old, about to turn 32. It might be 32 by the time this episode comes out. He has 9 years of NBA experience, though technically this would be his 10th year, but it doesn't count because he's not playing, and he won't be playing because of a torn ACL. He's worn 2 numbers for his career. You guys know what those 2 numbers are. And I will give you a hint. They are both below the number 25.
That helps.
It actually should.
24.
I mean,
23. I would 23.
23. Okay, you got to guess 2. You got to guess 2.
23 and 24. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say too.
Maurice?
It's 20, 23, and what's his number with the Rockets? 20.
23, and he's currently wearing number 5 for the Rockets.
Number 5. That's a big
right?
leap. Okay.
Now, I should note, we are going to go with the 2021-22 season. He averaged 20.3 points, 6.7 assists, 1.7 steals, 0.5 blocks, which is, I consider for a 6-footer, pretty darn good, to be honest. 2.6 turnovers and 2.5 fouls, while shooting 40.3% from the field, 37.7% from the 3-point line, and 87.4% from the foul line. So, initial thoughts on those.
What about rebounds?
I said,
you've been skipping rebounds.
So sorry. I did skip rebounds because he's so short. I forgot, but he is 4.4 rebounds per game.
Not bad for a 6-footer.
I think that's pretty darn good for a 6-footer.
Him to go to the Toronto Raptors and produce on that level, and he's going to a really good team that's about to win an NBA championship, by the way. So that long lift 3-point shooting team that they had, he fit right in like a glove. And once again, a winner.
Yeah.
So he's joining a winner.
The Kyle Lowry thing sort of reminds me a bit of Jameer Nelson.
Yep.
So I know all 3 guards are comparable because they're sort of unathletic, undersized guards who fell in the draft and then sort of had to work their way up to sort of be all-star level players. And so I sort of like the Kyle Lowry being a mentor for VanVleet.
Hey, 20 points a game and you're not 6'5", 6'8". That says it all to me. I've seen VanVleet play in person multiple times, and his shot is wet, man. Like, it's just shocking to me how he's got 6'5", 6'8" dudes coming at him, closeouts, and he gets the arc just where it needs to be. And great shooting touch, great follow through. The spin on the ball is impeccable. So nights in the gym pay off.
Hey, and remember his post game, like he had a little post game. Yeah.
Well, that's all fair, and I think the and look, he's not going to shoot 2s at a particularly high rate. His field goal percentage is 40.3%. His 2-point percentage is 44% that season. Not that surprising, all considering his size. So shooting inside of the arc is not really going to be his forte. But it's still impressive, like you said, the size and being able to do that. That's for sure. Let me go to triple doubles because we always talk about that. How many triple doubles do you think? Do you think Fred VanVleet even has a triple double?
I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say 3. There's 3 triple doubles.
Well, Ben, you shouldn't have put a number on it because now you're wrong with Uriah. It was actually 2 triple-doubles.
Oh, okay.
2 triple-doubles. Remember, he's averaging 4 rebounds a game. So, totally possible.
So he squeezed out a couple of 10-game, 10-rebound
something
games.
like that. So let's go to career highs. Career high. Over under 52.
Ooh. 52.
Over under.
I'll go under. I'll take the under.
We talked about this. It's going to definitely over.
52.
Ben just said it. Ben just said it.
No, but
you have to remember, this franchise had Vince Carter.
Okay, can we just, let's stop giving him hints. Let the man make his own choices.
No, because we're trying to do this without mentioning the past. So,
or the future.
I'm going to say over, yes, over 52.
Okay, Uriah, you are just on a buzzer.
Man, I can't buy a bucket today. All right.
But, Fred VanVleet could. He got 54.
Yeah.
I do want to note the closest career high besides that in a different season. Now, I don't know about that season, but in another season was 42. So Fred definitely hit outside his weight in that one.
He got fire. He caught fire.
Most of his career highs are in the 30s, to be honest. So this is actually, definitely outside of his normal range. Because these guys are kind of known as three-point shooters, he had a career high of 11 three-pointers made in a single game.
That was with Toronto, right?
Yes, the Toronto, the same season, actually. And then over under 10 rebounds is a career high for Fred VanVleet.
I'll say over. I've been losing it under, so I'll go over.
Ben?
I'm going to say tie.
Okay, well, you guys should have actually listened to Uriah.
You don't give him a half-hearted thumbs up.
There we go.
give me the full thumbs up.
Yeah, it's 12. It's 12 as a career high. Now assists. These guys are both playmakers, undersized guards. Over under 17 as a career high in assist.
I'm gonna go tie.
I'm gonna say under.
I'm gonna say under.
Okay, well you're all over 20.
8.
Wow.
Damn.
Wow. Get out of wow.
Last season with Toronto.
VanVleet.
7 steals, 6 blocks. Can we talk about 6 blocks for a 6-footer?
Yeah, where's that?
That was
who's he playing against?
Well, I mean,
probably Nate Robinson.
It was actually his first season in Houston, so I don't think IT was playing at that point. It was against Charlotte.
That's remarkable.
It was Charlotte.
That's remarkable.
Charlotte.
6 blocks for him. Oh.
Against Charlotte?
Yeah, against Charlotte.
It was like LaMelo Ball.
So, LaMelo, Brandon Miller, Cody Martin, Nick Richards, Miles Bridges. Oh, you know what? I know why. It's 2 guys that are short and probably not. Oh, 3 guys. Ish Smith, last year of Ish Smith.
Trey Mann.
Frank Ntilikina, and James Bouknight. That's probably what happened there. And then 8 turnovers. Never had a double-digit turnover game. So, takes care of the ball. Any thoughts on Fred VanVleet before we move on?
He's all over the place. 20 assists, 6 blocks, 54 points. Just does what he just does it all.
Yeah.
Is he an underrated defensive player?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always
absolutely.
Yeah. There are matchups you can shoot over him, but I think as his career progressed, we were talking about the 2019 playoffs, he was unplayable in some series, but I do think he developed into being a better defender after that.
He's quick and he's stocky, which helps. But let's go ahead and move on to Jameer Nelson.
And it comes to Nelson. Magic with a chance to win it at the very least. They do not want Sacramento with a chance, so they'll either go to overtime or the Magic will win it, in all likelihood. Down to 5. Good defense by Sacramento. Nelson! Oh, my. Another clutch shot by the Magic. 1.7, and the tough thing about that, it was a 3-point field goal.
Well, that's just not much you can say. That is clutch shooting by Jameer Nelson, the young second-year player out of St. Joe's. Made a lot of big shots in his college career, now one in his pro. The shot was challenged by Mike Bibby, but that's just a big-time focus. Jameer Nelson knows the clock's running down way behind the line, going left. Difficult shot. He made it and made it look easy.
So those are the highlights. Here are the numbers. He's also 6 foot, but only 190 pounds, which yet again really shocks me. I thought he was a more stocky guy than that.
Yeah.
He is 43 years old. and he had a 14-year career. Now, Jameer played for a lot of teams, so I'm not going to ask you what numbers he wore because he wore a lot of different numbers. But I am going to ask you, his iconic 14, he wore it for 3 teams. Which 3 teams did he wear number 14 for?
Orlando, Denver, and Detroit.
Orlando's 1.
Mm-hmm.
Boston and Dallas.
Orlando, Dallas, and Denver.
You all got the last one wrong. So it was Orlando, Dallas, and New Orleans.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
In Boston,
Pelicans.
he wore 28. For Denver, he wore 2 numbers. The first year was 28. The second 2 years were number 1. And then for the Pistons, he wore 41.
Okay.
All right. That being said, we're going to go with the 08-09 season. Now, I almost didn't choose this one because he missed the majority of the season with a bad knee injury. But this one just stood out like above all the other ones that I couldn't ignore it.
Okay.
You played 41 games to put that cap on there. But he averaged 16.7 points, 3.5 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 1.2 steals, 0.1 blocks, 2 turnovers, 2.9 fouls, while shooting 50.3% from the field, 45.3% on 3-pointers, and from the foul line, he shot 88.7%.
Okay. So they're both good free throw shooters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say I'm surprised he didn't average more assists. 5 assists.
Well, he's playing with a point forward and Hito Turkoglu, who took up the ball a lot too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that explains it. All right.
Yeah.
Thoughts on those stats? Uriah, I guess, already won, so yeah.
I just went, yeah.
Ben or Maurice?
They're pretty low compared to Fred. I think Fred had after Kawhi left, they kind of it was between 1A, 1B with him and Siakam. So he had more opportunity to be the number 1 option in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a share of the wealth. We went through going through the roster. It's like Rashard Lewis,
stealing all of
JJ Redick.
Maurice's thunder here, Ben.
No, but I'm saying they spread the wealth a lot more when he was in his prime. So
this was a different era of NBA basketball.
I think that's the most important thing to point out.
Yeah, scoring was now the assists 5. You say 5.
5 assists,
5.4 assists, yes.
5.4. Yeah, that could have been a little higher as the main facilitator of your team, and you got a big lob threat in Dwight Howard.
I will say his last 2 seasons in Orlando, he averaged over 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, we're highlighting 2 guards, but neither one of these guards have all NBA on their ledger. So there were a lot of other great guards during their eras or era right now. So Jameer Nelson wasn't never like the top 3 or 5 guard in the NBA.
Right.
But he did, I guess you could say he was more of a system guard.
He was
for Stan Van Gundy.
I would say he would fall in the category of a 3-and-D guard in today's game. I would say that.
In today's game.
Yeah,
3-and-D?
3-and-D. I mean, he's not a bad defender. I mean, he
no.
But I would say that he's more of a not a
game
manager than a ball dominant player.
Okay.
All right, I can see that.
Yeah. Did Jameer Nelson have any triple doubles?
I'm going to say 1.
You say 1?
Yeah, I'll say he got at least 1.
He's got to get at least 1, yeah. 0.
Oh. Now, it's surprising because he has the career highs to get it, but never did. Fred VanVleet's career high in scoring was 54. Is Jameer's higher, lower, or equal to?
Oh, it's got to be lower.
It's got to be lower.
That era, no way he's cracking 45.
Yeah.
It was 54, but yeah, no. Ben?
I'm going to say lower.
Yeah, it's lower. It's 32.
Wow.
Yeah. Different era back then, guys. Different era.
Yeah.
especially if you're like the third or fourth option on your team, which basically he was, because you still had Rashard Lewis, who was an all-star. Hedo Turkoglu was ball dominant, right?
Oh, look who's stealing someone's thunder now.
You're right. My bad.
It's so easy. I know.
Okay.
It's easy to fall
I
into
was
the
a big
trap.
fan of that team back in the day.
That is your squad.
Okay, so I did 3-pointers made for Fred VanVleet. I think I said 11 in a single game. Jameer's made in a single game was only 6.
Okay.
Now, in terms of rebounds, over under 10.
Rebounds, I go over.
14 years in the league, I'll go over.
Ben?
Over.
Okay, you're all wrong. I gave you the option for tied.
It's our fault. Yeah. Because we didn't take your non-clue.
Yeah, so, Sis.
You gave us another hint earlier. You said he had double digits.
Yeah, he had double digits to reach all these, just didn't do it in a single game.
See, you know what, though? The numbers compare for both of these guys. And I truly do believe this is a great comparison because for the simple fact that if you put Jameer Nelson in today's game, he's playing like VanVleet.
Probably, yeah.
Yep.
He might, he would be taking more threes, which would probably get his scoring up more.
Yeah.
We said VanVleet's career high in assists was 20. Is Jameer over, under, or equal to?
I'll go under.
Equal to.
Equal.
Okay, Uriah, this is for you, buddy.
There we go.
It was 15.
He's
15.
He's heating
I'm
up.
on a roll. I'm on a roll.
Yeah, 15.
He's heating up.
15. He also had 7 steals as a career high, 2 blocks, which seems more reasonable for a 6-footer than Fred's like 6. 7 turnovers, and that's it. So, any thoughts on the career highs here?
A little lower than I expected.
Yeah.
But once again, this is the era that they played in, early to mid 2000s.
Yeah, I was about to say
you weren't scoring like that.
Yeah, most point guards were making all NBA and averaging 16 to 18 points per game. So, keep that in mind. Fred VanVleet has played 550 games to Jameer Nelson's 878. Who has the higher points per game average, guys? You just blurt out your answer.
It's going to be Fred.
Yeah, VanVleet. Yeah.
Fred's at 14.9. Jameer is at 11.3. Who has the higher rebounds per game?
This is tough. I'm going to go with Jameer.
Fred.
Ben, you are correct. Fred is at 3.4. Jameer is at 3. Assists per game. Fred or Jameer?
Jameer.
Fred.
I'll go Jameer.
Maurice, you are correct.
Oh.
Fred is at 5.7 and Jameer is at 5.1. Steals per game.
I'm going to say tie.
Fred.
I'm going to go Fred.
Fred is correct. At 1 point. Why did you beat?
That was for me.
Oh, okay.
That was for me.
Okay, yeah. Fred at 1.4 to Jameer's 0.9. Blocks per game.
Fred.
Yeah, Fred. He got 6. So.
0.5 versus 0.1. Field goal percentage. Fred or Jameer?
I'm going to go Jameer.
I'm going to go Fred.
I'm going to go Jameer.
You know, Uriah, you were on such a hot streak until now.
What?
Yeah, it was Jameer. 43.6 for Jameer versus 40.1. 3-point percentage. Jameer or Fred?
Jameer.
Fred, actually.
Yeah, I'll go Fred.
It is Fred.
Yep.
I will say it's a lot closer than you would think, though. 37.1 to 36.8. What I've noticed is while Fred VanVleet does dominate this, and actually Fred has the regular season series, they did overlap briefly. Fred won 2 games out of 2, so good for you, Fred. The stats are relatively close. Even though Fred dominates most of them, it's pretty close. It's pretty comparable. So anyway, that's all that I have.
It's actually pretty rare now. We do these episodes, and the 2 players actually played each other.
Yeah, just means it's a good comp.
Yeah.
Third quarter, accolades.
Franchise record points for a game.
Woo! Yeah,
Hey, listen. That man was undrafted. That man worked his ass off. That man come in here every day and bust his ass. That's what y'all talk about. Hard work right there. He came from undrafted. Really bet on himself. My little brother.
Yes, sir! Good work, y'all. Good work, y'all. Good win. Keep it going. Hell yeah, Fred. Yes, sir.
Okay, so Fred VanVleet actually has a very impressive college basketball resume. And so, per what I said, I got the opportunity to see Fred play in the Sweet 16. And his freshman year, the Wichita State Shockers, they made the Final Four. Which is really, really impressive. They're in the Missouri Valley Conference, to give you an idea of like how impressive that is. You know, we've seen a few teams like George Mason, but they sort of making the Final Four. This is back in 2013. So Fred was a freshman on that team, and he did contribute to that team. But for example, he scored 13 points against Gonzaga. So he was a factor. And so something that was really fascinating about Fred is that this is kind of going against why surprising he went undrafted. How many times do you think Fred was named All-American while at Wichita State? Now, I'll give you a hint. He was there all 4 years. I'm going to go to Maurice first.
All-American.
All-American. AP All-American.
Twice?
I think I'll say 3 times.
All right, Uriah, you are correct.
What? Okay.
Yeah. So sophomore, and then this is a really interesting thing. So his sophomore, junior, and senior year, he was named AP, which is the Associated Press, honorable mention All-American. And this is what's really fascinating. So Fred had a really good sophomore year. He was never really hurt. Like, he didn't have any sort of season-ending injuries. But his sophomore year, Fred was named third-team All-American by the Sporting News. So his sophomore year, he was named third-team All-American. Again, really surprising he went undrafted. Some of his numbers in college were pretty like normal, but he did shoot over 40% a few seasons from 3. So he was always a really good shooter. Nothing really jumped out at you, but he played winning basketball. Wichita State always was a winning team while he was there. They obviously made the Final Four. And so Fred was a 3-time All-American at Wichita State. He went undrafted in the 2016 draft. How many times do you think Fred was named the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year? I'm going to go to Uriah first.
Wow, Player of the Year in the entire conference. Clearly, he stayed all 4 years. Undrafted, like you said, had decent numbers, nothing that'll jump out and grab you. But like you said, Ben, he played winning basketball, and in big moments, even as a freshman, I recall him making a big shot.
It's a famous conference. Larry Bird was in this conference, guys. Indiana State, like there's been some good players that come out of this conference.
I'll say 3 times.
All right, and then Maurice.
I'm going to say twice as like just like the last time.
All right, we're switching it up. Maurice, you are the winner this time.
Okay, we go.
He skipped
You're welcome.
a year.
You're welcome. All right. Yeah.
So Wichita State must have his sophomore year. They must have gone really far, and so I figured it out. So Wichita State. This is where these two are very, very similar. So Fred VanVleet, his sophomore year, he helped lead the Wichita State team, Shockers, to their first 31-0 regular season.
That's right.
So this is the big through line. We'll get to Jameer. 31-0.
Undefeated.
And you have to remember, this is coming off of, they made the Final Four the year before.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, when your team succeeds, your non-conference schedule is going to be loaded up. So the fact that they went 31-0, they played ranked teams.
Yeah.
So Fred was rewarded with Conference Player of the Year. So he didn't get it in 2015. but then he skipped a year in 2016. So it feels like Fred almost could have went pro after his sophomore year, but he didn't. Like, it feels like his most awarded season was his sophomore year.
Okay.
He's a 3-time first-team All-Missouri Valley Conference player. And like I said, his most awarded season was his sophomore year when the team went 31-0. So this guy, Final Four, next year goes 31-0. A lot of college basketball tournament experience in his 4 years there. So he goes undrafted. He played the Toronto Raptors. They took a chance on him. The Toronto Raptors G League syndicate is called the Raptors 905.
Yes.
So he came up through that, and he was coached by the current Sixers coach, Nick Nurse, and the Raptors 905. So Fred kind of came into the league on a contending team. Those Raptors teams made a lot of conference finals. They couldn't really get past the LeBron Cavs or the LeBron Heat with Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, 2 all-star guards. So Fred kind of came in with this, like, arguably the best backcourt in the league.
Yeah.
One of the top 2. And he just kind of, I think, worked his way up with the leadership of Kyle Lowry and DeRozan and worked his way into the rotation.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have many NBA accolades, but in his 3rd year in the league, he was an NBA champion.
That's one accolade that is way above anything else he can get.
He was a 1-time All-Star in 2022.
Good for him.
And yeah, and that's kind of it for Fred VanVleet. I mean, he's not as old as I would have thought.
No.
I thought for some reason he was like 33, 34. He just kind of carries himself like a coach or something.
He does.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
He's only 31. So does anything stand out to you guys with Fred VanVleet?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll just mention the fact that he led a team to an undefeated record, which, if people know anything about St. Joe's in that special year with Jameer Nelson, they too went undefeated. So that comparison is right there neck and neck. I am impressed by his work ethic and his complete belief in himself to be able to play at obviously Wichita and then be an amazing player, garnering all those accolades you just listed, Ben, but then going to the next step. You know, he didn't get drafted. Okay, big deal. Let me put myself out there. I'll go to the G League. He worked his way up, became an NBA champion, contributed at every level. He's a winning style point guard, unselfish player who has tremendous confidence in his shot, in his ability to lead, his ability to distribute. There's so many great things to like about VanVleet's game, and it all started in college, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of piggyback off what Uriah was saying. He didn't accept no. He kept pushing forward. Even in that clip that I posted, this guy was a non-draft pick. He worked his way through everything to get to the NBA. He won a championship on a great team. And then he statistically, his personal statistics and his personal accolades have grown since.
Yep.
If you watch Fred VanVleet play now, you would have never known this guy was non-drafted.
Yeah, there's one other thing I forgot, and this is kind of winning at every level. And making the Final Four is such an accomplishment, especially at like the conference he was in. So not the championship, but huge deal. He did win an NBA D-League champion. And I do remember that. I do remember that in 2017, his rookie year. And that is kind of what propelled him to get playing time with the Raptors, to sort of be their backup point guard. So he did win at kind of every level, even the D League, which is I guess now the G League. I didn't realize it was the D.
Yeah,
So,
they switched names a couple times.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to Jameer Nelson.
Selected to the All-Star team, but not playing tonight due to injury. From the Orlando Magic, Jameer Nelson.
One for the first time, but unavailable for tonight. I'm Joakim Noah, so they really haven't played without Noah and without a deep front court. No, 55. Season average. 50. Oh, average? Average, yeah. I don't know. On our post-game show tonight with Paul Kennedy and Jeff Turner. 6 the first half on an 11-5 run. Nelson for
block shot against Boozer, but another good pass from him. Got 5 assists in the first half. Another 3-ball for Jameer Nelson. NBA helping his team come back from big deficits. He's also capable of assists tonight.
Now, Nelson for 3. Good again. Nelson drives past Robinson. Hands it off to Nelson. He'll rise up for 3. Nelson on the drive.
Jameer Nelson is sort of a heightened version of Fred VanVleet as far as college accolades. In a little bit more of a well-known conference, the Atlantic 10. Shout out, that's the conference I was in. Atlantic 10 is for those who don't know, is Northeast Midwest Conference. It's kind of a famous basketball conference. And Jameer Nelson played for St. Joe's all 4 years. And in his senior year, this team was, must watch.
Yep.
They had a backcourt of Delonte West. They had a ton of NBA guys. Their center went in the first round too. So Jameer Nelson, how many times was Jameer Nelson first team All-Atlantic 10?
First team.
3.
All right, Uriah?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'll go 3.
All right, you guys are all right.
He's good.
3rd,
all
yeah,
right.
he was 3. Freshman year, he was second team All-Atlantic 10. So right away, he was really good. Again, Atlantic 10 is a really good conference. It produces a lot of NBA talent. Jameer Nelson kind of took a big leap his senior year, which was the 2003-2004 season. I was a freshman at LaSalle when this happened, and we used to watch this guy play, and it felt like what I imagine it's like being at a Duke game. Just the fans, every game was packed. It was much CTV. This guy just swept every award. He was the National Player of the Year winner at 2004, Bob Cousy Award winner, which is the best point guard in the entire NCAA. He was consensus first team All-American. He was the Atlantic 10 Player of the Year, the Adolph Rupp Trophy. The Adolph Rupp Trophy, for those who don't know, is basically a college award given to the best NCAA Division I player. He was the Francis Pomeroy Naismith Award winner. Again, these are all various versions of best player in the country. And so he pretty much swept every award. And the St. Joe's Hawks also had an undefeated regular season.
Yep.
A bit more impressive than, I don't want to claim that, but a bit more, given the competition, it was a bit more impressive than the Wichita State. But both guys had undefeated regular seasons. St. Joe's went 27-0 in 04. The furthest he went was the Elite Eight. So they were the number 1 seed, and they were upset by Oklahoma State. Jameer Nelson did get drafted. He did get drafted in the first round. But given all these accolades, you think, this guy's got to be top 5, top 10. No, he wasn't even a lottery pick, guys. He fell to 20th. Again, small guard, unathletic. People were just like, he is quick. I shouldn't say unathletic, but people are like, this, he won't be able to guard in the league. And he proved everyone wrong.
Doubters.
Doubters, yeah. He was drafted by the Denver Nuggets, but then was immediately traded to Orlando Magic. So he spent his first 11 years in the league with the Orlando Magic. So the bulk of his prime was with the Magic. His rookie year, he played well. He was NBA All-Rookie second team. He was on kind of an up-and-coming Orlando Magic team with Dwight Howard, who was So he was the number 1 pick. Dwight Howard was sort of ascending into being the best center in the NBA. It was right when Shaq was kind of
on his way out.
Yeah. So Jameer Nelson was sort of Dwight Howard's right-hand man. He did get an All-Star game. Jameer Nelson in 2009 was named an All-Star. And that Magic team made the NBA Finals.
Yeah, it was a good squad.
Yep.
Very good squad.
Very good squad. They beat the super team Boston Celtics.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that series.
Yep. They ended up losing to the Lakers, but that team was really special and had a lot of promise. And making the NBA Finals, that is a big deal. So Jameer Nelson's one-time All-Star, no All-NBAs, but given where he came from, this was brought up earlier, but Jameer Nelson is currently the general manager of the Sixers. So he's still in Philly.
Wait, not the Sixers. You're talking about the G League team, right?
Nelson was promoted to serve as the assistant general manager for the Philadelphia 76ers in May.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
I missed that. Okay.
I thought it was
as
a
of May. He was the G League assistant general manager for 5 years, and on May 13th last year, he was promoted to Sixers assistant general manager.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. All right, that's it for Jameer Nelson for kind of accolades. Again, similar to Fred, one All-Star. He made the NBA Finals. He didn't win a chip like Fred did, but so what stands out to you guys with Jameer Nelson's accolades?
Well, he didn't accumulate many in the NBA, but I think it's important to recognize the successes of our players that we feature, even at the college level. And if you watch any highlights of him at St. Joe's, like you described, Ben, the arena, whenever that team played, Jameer Nelson was on the spot, the number one guy. Everyone wanted to see him and Delonte West, right? So I think comparatively, two guys that were doubted because of their size, but because of their dedication and their ability to refine the skill that was needed to be successful at the pro level with point guard, just IQ you mentioned earlier, Ben. It's just so impressive to know that he was able to sweep all those awards being the smallest guy out of the sample size of players that were up for that award, especially National Player of the Year. So I think this episode shows anybody, if you have the heart and determination, size don't matter. As long as you have that it factor, that bravery to take that shot in the big moment or to lead your team to the championship, whether you win or lose in the finals, the fact that you made it there is something to really be proud of if you're Jameer Nelson and obviously Fred VanVleet.
Yeah, and both guys, if you see them in person, they feel more 5'11".
Yeah, yeah. I stood next to Jameer Nelson one time. I was at a game, and I was like, man, this guy's like my height.
Yeah. So they defied the odds with size and athleticism. What about you, Maurice? What stands out?
Yeah, what stands out to me is both of these guys, through hard work, became winners. And for Jameer Nelson to go right to the Orlando Magic, who at that time were rebuilding, man, they bring in Dwight Howard, and immediately they're, a championship squad. And he's played on some other teams after that who also were really good winners as well. And for Fred, it's the same thing. Both of them have brought a winning culture to wherever they've gone. And for Fred now, with Houston, even though he didn't play this season because of injury, they turned it around. And he was definitely a linchpin in that. I do want to say one thing earlier. We said St. Joe's went undefeated. They actually went 30-2 their 03-04 season.
Oh, no, regular season.
The regular season.
The regular season?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So obviously, Wichita State didn't go undefeated. They didn't win the championship. So no, they both regular season went undefeated. Both teams.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. Which I don't know if that includes. I don't know if like conference tournament. You guys big college basketball guys? Is that I technically wouldn't be regular season? So I don't know if St. Joe's lost in their conference tournament.
I'm going to assume so because they have them at 30-2, 16-0 in the A10.
Yeah. So they must have lost. I think I remember that they didn't win the Atlantic 10 championship, and then they would have lost one game as the 1 seed. Yeah,
they were the A10 regular season champion.
Okay. Right, but they didn't win interesting. Yeah, so they didn't win they would have lost. That would have been their one loss.
Yeah.
So,
shout out Phil Martelli, by the way.
Yeah. It's funny, the big that was on that team works. He was on the Sixers for a while as a coach. So I forget the guy's name, but
Dwayne Jones.
Yeah, Dwayne Jones. That was their center. Yeah, they had 3 NBA guys on that team. All right, so I'm going to switch over to Maurice to talk about teammates.
Let's do it.
Fourth quarter, teammates.
he got everything in his bag.
Were you impressed with the role players on Toronto?
Yeah, for sure.
Like you couldn't have. I don't think anyone expected that. You're talking about guys like Fred VanVleet, the names that people were not paying attention to. Siakam before the playoffs seemed to all step up and just be amazing down the stretch.
I don't know. I mean, people don't watch regular season basketball, I guess.
I know.
Yeah, they don't watch it. Yeah. I mean, you know about VanVleet since college. You heard about Siakam from just playing pickup games around the summer. You know, the NBA culture is so open. Everybody know each other so much. So, like, you see all of these guys throughout the summer, and you see how much they progressed over the years. So VanVleet he's stamped to me as like a dog in the league. Like he's gonna be in the league for a long, long time. However long he want to play, he's gonna be in the league. And as an undrafted player, I feel like a lot of young guys should be looking at Fred VanVleet as like
inspiration.
Yeah, for sure.
That was his teammate giving high praise, Kevin Durant.
Dude, KD went in with the compliments. Oh my goodness.
Dude, Kevin Durant's
awesome.
the best, man. I think he's the best at like describing the game. He's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin Durant's I don't think there's no one who loves basketball more than Kevin Durant.
I get that same vibe.
And then Kevin Durant's Achilles recovery, I think people take for granted because he's a top 10 player still. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about Fred VanVleet and his teammates. That was Kevin Durant, his Houston Rockets teammate. Of course, like we mentioned earlier, Fred was undrafted in the 2016 NBA draft season. So he was a free agent, technically, out of Wichita State. Some of his teammates, his rookie season were, and of course, like I mentioned, 2016, 2017, Toronto Raptors. Do you guys remember the coach?
Dwayne Casey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Masai Ujiri was their executive. They won 51 games his rookie season. So they were good. They were good since he got there. They got swept actually in the second round of the playoffs by, of course, LeBron James. I think Toronto was still in that era where they couldn't get past LeBron in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because they couldn't defend him.
Yeah,
no one could. But
no one could.
Yeah. And then they draft that year. Yeah, Siakam was in VanVleet's rookie class. He was the first round pick.
Yeah. But like him, it took Siakam a couple years to develop.
Yeah.
It all kind of came together that 2019 season when they got Kawhi. Siakam grew. VanVleet was there. They traded DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi, and it still had Lowry. So, yeah, they had a lot of good players that season, for sure. All right, anyway, some of his teammates his rookie season were DeMar Carroll, DeMar DeRozan. Forget about Serge Ibaka.
Nah,
he was good.
Can never
Serge
forget
was
about
good.
Serge. Yeah, he's very good.
Corey Joseph, Kyle Lowry, Jakob Poeltl, Norman Powell, really good roster. Terrence Ross.
Yep.
Siakam, I mentioned. PJ Tucker.
Oh, forgot. Forgot he was on that team.
DeLone Wright. And Jonas Valanciunas.
That's a deep team.
That's a nice squad, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good team. Move on a little bit, and we're going to talk about the championship team. Sorry, Ben.
I'm a Sixers fan too. I have feelings too.
I know it hurts Ben a little bit more because Ben always talks about
the big what if. Yeah.
Look, Ben didn't flip over a couch the way I did. I'll tell you that.
No. Oh, really?
I actually
I was mad. I was really ticked off.
No.
All right, for all the Sixers fans out there, I think we all can agree Kawhi walked.
He walked
8 steps. Maybe 5.
But anyway, he made an amazing shot, one of the greatest shots in basketball history, and that propelled them to win an NBA championship. Kawhi was there one year, got a championship, and dipped. He was like, I'm out of here.
I'm out.
Their record that season was 50-24. Their coach was, of course, Nick Nurse. Some of his teammates were. Forget about this one. Forget about OG Anunoby. That was the second year. Chris Boucher, Marc Gasol, Danny Green, of course, Serge and Kawhi. Jeremy Lin was on that team. I think he was traded. So
That's right. Yeah.
I think he was traded there. Lowry, Jody Meeks, Greg Monroe was there.
Okay.
Yeah. Norman Powell, Malachi Richardson, VanVleet, and Delon Wright. Really good team. Really good, a deep team.
Yeah.
And one thing we forget about with Toronto is, at least with Nick Nurse, they always had a lot of length. They always had a lot of tall guys, long arms, and they played really good, tough defense.
They did.
Yeah, they really did. And
the ability to switch, that's Nick Nurse's big thing.
Yeah, they definitely did. So let me ask you guys, who won the most games with Fred VanVleet? The number is 162.
I know it for sure.
Oh, you do? All right.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's got to be Pascal.
Siakam?
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds about right. Because Anunoby was traded. Lowry was Lowry traded later? It's either Lowry or Pascal. I'll just be different and say Kyle Lowry.
Well, for you being different, you are.
You just love doing that. You and Lucas, man. You love when I fail.
It's Pascal Siakam.
By the way, Ben, I didn't flip over a couch. I did tip over my ottoman. I was really upset. I don't want people to think, oh, he lifted a couch and he threw it on his dog. No.
I was in denial. That shot was just like,
couldn't
believe it. Yeah.
I was just in shock. Like, how does that basketball go in from that angle? So, yeah, it was Pascal Siakam. Ben was right. 162. Played 7 seasons together. 2 was OG with 203. So Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet won 260 together. I got the number wrong. 260. I was actually looking at the losses. When they won 260 games together, OG Anunoby won 203 games with 6 seasons, and Kyle Lowry is third with 176.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about last year's Houston Rockets team that was 52-30. Their coach was Ime Udoka. Raphael Stone was the executive. This is a nice young team. They obviously, after the season, added Kevin Durant, one of the greatest players of all time. Some of his teammates that season were Steven Adams, Dylan Brooks, who's moved on.
Yeah.
Tari Eason, Jalen Green, who's not there now. Jeff Green.
Jeff.
Yeah. Aaron Holiday. Alfred Şengün, who's one of the best bigs. I think he just got named to the All-Star team as a replacement for SGA.
SGA, yeah.
Yeah, good for him.
Reed Shepard, nice young shooter. Jabari Smith Jr. Ahmed Thompson. And Cam Whitmore, who's not there anymore. That's pretty much the last season team. If he comes back this season, they pretty much have the same team. They have Clint Capella, Kevin Durant, Dorian Finney-Smith. That's pretty much Josh Okogie. Those are pretty much the players they have now. So let me ask you guys this. Who was the best teammate Fred VanVleet played with throughout his career?
Best in terms of like talent or just...
You know what? Let's switch the question up. Who was the best fit as a teammate with Fred VanVleet?
Okay.
You go first, Ryan.
No, Ben is the Toronto expert, so you take it and run with it, and I'll just follow your lead.
The best fit with Fred VanVleet. I'm going to ask the same question for Jameer Nelson.
I would say fit would be, they only played a couple of years together, but would have been Scotty Barnes. Because Scotty Barnes is like a 6'9", 6'8" guard, essentially. I think that combo of Fred, I think that's probably his best fit. And I think his best teammate was obviously Pascal, same draft. They went through the trenches together. And I think, but yeah, best fit would probably be Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I am going to take the low-hanging fruit and say Pascal Siakam. You look at a guy like Siakam who we covered in our comparison with Lamar Odom, who had his own struggles trying to make it to the NBA. Another G Leaguer who came up through the Toronto, was it 905? Side note, I I covered the I covered the Blue Coats for the Sixers, and I used to go to those games, and they played the Toronto G League team, and I felt like I was watching the Raptors because their roster at the G League level, all guys that were 6'7", 6'9", could all shoot the three, and they shot a lot of threes, even at the G League level. So they were preparing them for the system that Nick Nurse had developed at the pro level. So, but back to Siakam, look, it's all about trust. And you saw those guys as they grew together and they developed chemistry. The trust that they had for each other was quite evident. And it was one of the main reasons why they were able to win. Remember this, guys, Kawhi was hurt a lot, right? You guys remember that?
Yeah.
So
yeah, he only played 60 games.
Right. So when Toronto kept winning, even though Kawhi was out, I started scratching my head saying, man, wait a minute. Do they really need Kawhi? Of course they did. But that's mainly because of guys like VanVleet and obviously Pascal Siakam.
You know, I asked the question, best fit. Siakam was probably it. And now with the Rockets, Kevin Durant definitely. But I want to say, and I didn't answer this question, influential, gotta be Kyle Lowry.
Because you're influential?
Right. Yeah. Because you're coming from, you're an undrafted point guard. You're coming to a team with an established point guard. I think in the clip earlier, he called him little brother.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so that influence, that OG in the locker room to help you develop is very crucial. And you can kind of see the similarities between Lowry and VanVleet.
I agree. And like anything with life or sports, in order to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. So when VanVleet got to that level and he's backing up Lowry, you know Kyle Lowry is the type of dude to be like, come on, man, let me show you the ropes. Yeah. And not only did he listen, he applied everything that he learned under the tutelage of Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, and you're right. I appreciate the insight on the 905, the Raptors G League team. The thing that always gets brought up in NBA spaces is that, Kevin Durant got hurt, Clay got hurt. But Toronto probably should have won that finals series in 5. They took it to 6.
Yeah.
But the amount of Hall of Famers and All-Stars on that team, I'll give you guys an example of like just some of their bench. Norman Powell, currently an All-Star. OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet. Like some of these guys were coming off. That was their bench.
Great development.
Gasol, Marcus Gasol, Serge Ibaka. These are all players not just named Kawhi. Kyle Lowry. So the amount of Hall of Famers, all NBA players, all defense, that team only had about a year together, but was really, really impressive. And kind of what Uriah just said, they won 58 games with Kawhi resting 22. So like that's how good that team was.
Yeah. Yep. Just imagine if Kawhi stayed instead of what to do to the Clippers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So with that said, let's move on now to Jameer Nelson.
And my teammates, though I was hard-headed, they did their best to try to get to me. And the ones that had a real big impact on me started with Jameer Nelson. He came in with me. He was my brother, my partner in crime. I was the one person I could always talk to about any and everything. So I'm very grateful for Jameer. We called him the little meerkat. So thank you, Jameer. At first I couldn't understand what he was saying. But after a while, I understood what dog meant.
Okay. No context with that comment.
He started to talk about Hito there at the end of that clip.
Oh, okay.
Hito Turkoglu. All right, so let's talk about Jameer Nelson and his teammates. Jameer Nelson was drafted with the 20th pick in the first round of the 2004 NBA draft by the Denver Nuggets, then, of course, traded to the Orlando Magic. Some of his teammates, his rookie season of the Orlando Magic, the 04-05 season, were, first of all, his coach. Anybody remember the coach?
Doc Rivers.
No, it wasn't Doc Rivers.
I'll say Van Gundy.
You're both wrong. It was Johnny Davis. Johnny Davis and Chris Gent.
Oh man,
Never would have guessed that.
Yeah, we get a we were way off with that.
Yeah. Dr. Rivers was the season before. He went 1-10, then got replaced by Johnny Davis. Their record that season was 36-46. Some of his teammates were Deshaun Stevenson.
Wow.
Yeah, that's going back. Hito Turkoglu, of course.
Yep.
Dwight mentioned him in the clip. Cuttino Mobley.
All right. Post Houston. All right.
Dwight Howard, of course. Grant Hill. Pat Garrity. Steve Francis. Doug Christie.
Wait, Steve Francis?
Yes.
And Cuttino Mobley were on the same team in Orlando?
Yep.
It's like the Rockets just said,
Yeah.
take both of our guards.
They
That's interesting.
Tony Battie and Stacey Alderman.
Wow. Yeah, he's toward the end of his career, I would assume.
I think this was the season after they moved on from Tracy McGrady.
T-Mac,
Yeah.
That's how they, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that was probably, without even looking it up, the trade. Because he went to the Rockets.
Yeah.
Without even looking that up, it pretty much makes sense. Let's move on to the Eastern Conference champion team, Orlando Magic, 08-09. Some of his teammates were, and by the way, they won 59 games. I forgot about that. They won 59 games.
They were cooking.
23 losses. Their coach, you guys know this one.
Coach?
Sam Van Gundy.
Yes, Sam Van Gundy.
Is Van Gundy. Okay.
Yeah. In the playoffs, they beat the Sixers, Celtics, and Cavaliers. This was the Orlando team. I think that was the team that beat LeBron and LeBron left. You said
no.
Was it?
No, I thought it was Boston beat him and then he left. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, this was 09, so.
Okay.
I think he left after this year, right?
Or it could have been a year after.
It might have been the year after. I think he gave one more year.
Yeah, because summer of 2010, that's when LeBron left. Yeah. So
So it was one more year.
Yes, one more year. Pardon me. All right, some of the teammates were Rafer Olsen, Keith Bogans, Skip to Malou. We got to do like an and one mixtape episode, something like that. I don't know, man. We got
the professor.
Do something like that. I don't know. Watch some and one tapes. You watched some, right, Ben?
Yeah, and one was in Philly area, right?
It was.
I think they were in Paoli, actually.
That was some good times back in those days. Brian Cook, Marcin Gortat, of course, Dwight Howard, Courtney Lee. Underrated player. We might have to highlight him in an episode. Rashard Lewis.
Yes.
He was good.
Yeah.
Modern player. Like everyone wants it. Rashard Lewis would have done better in today's league.
Tyronn Lue.
Ty Lue.
Hito again, and JJ Redick.
Wow. Yeah, you got to end with JJ Redick. That's perfect player to end the roster with.
Yeah, JJ Redick, a teammate getting the passes from Jameer Nelson. That was pretty good. That was a pretty good combination right there. All right, so this was easy. Dwight Howard won the most games with Jameer Nelson. I think that's fairly obvious.
Yeah.
Over-under of wins. I'm going to give you 313. Over-under.
Over.
313. How many seasons did they play together?
8.
313. Yeah, I'll say over.
Okay. You both are correct.
Cool.
316.
All right.
Number 2 was Hito Turkoglu with 244. And 3 was JJ Redick with 196.
They drafted Jay. He's another guy. It's interesting they did the same thing twice because JJ was college player of the year, fell in the draft to kind of unathletic, smaller guard. And it's interesting that Orlando drafted both guys.
Yeah, it really is. All right. I'm going to highlight at this point, after Orlando, Jameer Nelson became kind of a journeyman. Went to a couple teams after that. So But he played with a lot of great players, and he won a lot of games, so I'm going to highlight them. The 2014-15 Dallas Mavericks. They won 50 games, 32 losses. Their coach was Rick Carlisle. The executive was Don Nelson. Some of his teammates were, I'm just going to give you the big names, Tyson Chandler, Jay Crowder, Dirk Nowitzki, Chandler Parsons, Amari Stoudemire, and Rajon Rondo.
Wow, I didn't know they played on the same team together.
Yeah.
That's right. That was actually a pretty good team. I remember if you win 50 games, you're obviously good, but
yeah. We lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Houston Rockets. That was the Harden Rockets. And let me highlight the 2016-2017 Denver Nuggets. Now, they only won 40 games. They lost 42, but this was the beginning of a championship roster. Their coach was Michael Malone. Tim Connelly was the executive. Some of his teammates were Will Barton, Malik Beasley, Danilo Gallinari, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Yusuf Nurkic, and Mason Plumlee. So he probably had a nice little influence on the young guys like Jokic and Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
Two players who will go on to win an NBA championship. He also played for the Pelicans, and he also played for the Detroit Pistons before he retired. He actually played for the Boston Celtics for 1 year, too. Let me see. The 2014-15 Boston Celtics, same player, Jay Crowder, Tayshaun Prince was at the end of his career, Rondo, Marcus Smart, Isaiah Thomas, Gerald Wallace. And the Pelicans, the 2017-2018 season, DeMarcus Cousins, Jordan Crawford, Drew Holiday. So Rondo, again, he played a couple teams in Rondo. With that said, though, he's played with a lot of great players. He's won pretty much everywhere. Did not win an NBA championship. One of those players that should have at least been in contention for one, but he got to the finals once. So I can say that. So, which player stood out the most as a teammate for Jameer Nelson throughout his career? Let's start with Ben.
I'm definitely going to go the finals team. Obviously, everyone's going to say Dwight.
Yeah.
They had what each other didn't have. Getting to play with Dwight Howard in his prime. I think he's one of the more underrated centers of all time.
Yeah.
What he could do. They were young together. They came up together. I think they just were, they hit their peak. They made the NBA finals. It's too bad because of injuries. Jameer, that roster didn't really stay together. But I'm going to say Dwight Howard. I just think their games complement each other so well.
Yeah.
Dwight obviously 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, rebounding champ, just like a walking 20 and 10 guy. And Jameer Nelson kind of spearheaded the offense. Dwight Howard didn't have the Jokic and Embiid bag, but so you kind of had to run a specific offense for him. And Jameer Nelson, they won about 60 games, obviously facilitated that offense.
Yeah.
And so I think with a big like Dwight, you have to have a specific offense, a lot of shooters around. And I'm going to say that. I think their games really complement each other.
Yeah, they did have a lot of shooters, Turkoglu and Rashard Lewis. But I got to go Dwight just because there's so many highlights of Jameer Nelson throwing lobs to Dwight Howard. I mean, what a fun tandem that was. And I do have in front of me, Maurice, the box score for all the games that Nelson played leading up to the finals. I don't know if you remember, but he got injured. And the last game he played in that 2009 season was in February 2nd. And he didn't come back and play again until the finals. And unfortunately, I guess because he missed so much time, he barely got 20 minutes per game, right? The most points he scored in the finals was, I think, 8 points or 6 points. I mean, he did not have the best finals because he was just coming off an injury. But, kudos to him for even trying to come back. So, I think Dwight Howard is the player that stands out the most.
Yeah, and I think that's easy to say. I mean, as a Sixers fan, you remember the Jameer Nelson alley-oop he threw to Dwight Howard and dunked over Drew Holiday?
Yes.
Mark Zumov has such a great call. Like, whoa. Yeah, you tend to forget that the lob threat that Dwight Howard was and how perfect Jameer Nelson was for Dwight Howard. That was a perfect fit. Them two were a perfect fit. Played with some great players. Obviously, at the end of his career, he played with Jokic, but I mean, Jokic wasn't even Jokic at that point. So, but that said, though, we're done with the teammate section.
Now that we've given you all the facts on Jameer Nelson and Fred VanVleet, it's time for you to make your case.
At this point, it's not about our opinion. It's about yours.
We'll see you on your favorite social media platform. You can find us on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads.
For the sources of information used in this episode, you can visit our website, nbanowandthen.com. Also visit our website to sign up for our monthly newsletter and check out our comparison articles.
Don't forget that you can follow the NBA stars we featured on today's episode through their social media.
You can follow Jameer Nelson on Instagram at JameerNelson_, and on Twitter at Jameer Nelson.
And you can follow Fred VanVleet on Instagram at Fred VanVleet or Twitter X at Fred VanVleet. And check out his podcast, Unguarded Pod, at Unguarded Pod.
Okay, it was great hanging out, talking about these two outstanding point guards. Next time you hear from us, we will be discussing the Mount Rushmore of 1990 centers. I'm sure if you love NBA basketball, you can name a few off the top of the dome, but that's the next time you'll hear from us. On behalf of Lucas Johnson, Maurice Huggins, and Ben Franzuski, I'm Uriah with NBA Now and Then, the greatest comparisons. Thanks for listening.
Peace. All right. See you
later.
Here's the twist, guys. Basketball wasn't even his first love. As a kid, he actually preferred football and basketball. Oh,
yeah.
Duh.
Ruined a trivia question there. Okay.
I know. All right.